Out Leslie Moonves, the chairman of CBS, and Richard Plepler, the chairman of HBO. They were the rocks that made this fight happen. They wanted the fight to happen, and I really ignored what everybody else was saying because I knew those two guys were bound and determined for the fight to happen.
What was the most difficult part of the contract negotiating? Something, one thing in particular that you found absolutely frustrating?
What I found most absolutely frustrating was there were no points of contention. The major points regarding this fight were resolved in 2 hours, and the major points regarding the networks getting together to do the fight were resolved in 12 minutes. Everything else was ego and verbiage, was bullshit. 2 hours to make the essential deal and 12 minutes for the networks to make the deal. The frustration came on the edges with people posturing.
Bob, you've promoted so many fights with Ali, with Sugar Ray Leonard, but this is a huge event right here. How does this compare to those other events you've promoted?
You can't compare fights from different eras. When we did Ali Fraser, we didn't have satellites. We didn't have social media. We didn't have television. Things were so big, you needed 3 guys to carry the television. It was totally and completely different. Even when in the last century, during the Leonard era and Hagler, totally different. We didn't have pay-per-view. This is now this century. So all I can really address is this century. And in this century, this is the biggest fight of this century.
Bob, since we don't have to talk about the politics behind it not happening anymore,
what?
How do you see the actual fight playing out?
I really think Manny has too much in his arsenal. I think he's quicker. He's he throws a lot more punches than Floyd does. I think Floyd's going to have a lot of difficulty dealing with Manny.
Did you end up having to talk to Floyd Mayweather directly during the negotiations for this fight at all?
No.
Do you expect to have to talk to Floyd by the duration of this fight having taken place?
Well, Floyd talks a lot with Todd, who's the president of my company, my stepson. Todd and Floyd, I've always had a very good relationship.
Bob, what would a win against Mayweather do for Pacquiao's legacy? What would it mean for him?
Well, a lot more votes when he runs for Senate in 2016.
Bob, when you were meeting with Heyman, did you get a chance to talk to him and be like, hey, what's going on with the other guys that you kind of have been taking over?
No, all we talked about was the fight.
Was that something you wanted to bring up to him?
No.
Or you expect to bring up to him?
No, nobody cares about that stuff except guys like you. Who cares about that?
I'm just asking because
The answer is no. No, Chavez we resolved, but that was something separate.
Okay. Thank you, Bob.
We're going to move this way.
Radio Raheem here on Press Row from Manny Pacquiao.